Hello everybody, this is That Shy Guy Matt, and today I thought I'd start a new series on the channel called Everything Wrong with Half-Life. I'm sure you've seen lots of videos where people do everything wrong with movies and TV shows. I thought, why not do it with Half-Life, a beloved series that we all enjoy. I played all the Half-Life games. Just remember, this is for fun. Don't start mashing on your keyboards that, hey, how dare you insult my Half-Life. We're just gonna be playing this from a point of being logical, overly logical, and overly picky about it, even though it's just a video game. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoy. If you like what you see here, like, comment, and subscribe. And I should mention, I have crabs. And by crabs, I mean I have a head crab. This is official merchandise by Valve. As you can see, this came out, I think, after Half-Life 2 released. I may be wrong. And I'm going to assume this is Lamar. I don't think it's specifically Lamar, but since he doesn't have his beak, he's the beak, I'm going to call him Lamar. And he's going to be joining me on this. So, trust me, I don't have much brains for him to attach to. So with that said, let us just hop right into the very first Half-Life. This is unmodded, as is. And no, I will not be playing through this game. I will just be doing segments on different areas that I see that seem to be a problem, and then moving on to another area. Okay, right off the bat, this is where you start in the training room. Looks nice, right? But if you notice, this elevator appears to come out of the cement. There's not even a door that you got onto, that you went through to get into this elevator. Nor are there gears or cables, tethers, there's like nothing. So where did this elevator come from? Did it just magically appear? You know, it's another one of those things that just makes no sense. And because this makes no sense, I have a spray for it. We could officially mark it as making no sense, or in this case, nonsense. And now we come to our second issue. Listen to what this lady says.
And welcome to the Black Mesa Hazard Course, where you will be trained in the use of the hazardous environment suit.
Okay, did you catch what she said there? She said this is the Black Mesa Hazard Course. Now, I am a little dyslexic, but I'm pretty sure that sign in the distance says Black Mesa Training Facility, not Hazard Course. So which are we doing, a hazard course or training facility? And yes, I know, they're one and the same. You get my drift. As always, this makes nonsense. Our next issue is when you come into this room, the door behind you closes. And it doesn't even reopen. What if I had dropped my wallet in the elevator? Or what if I wanted to listen to the hologram again? Am I just stuck? I can't leave? Apparently so. You know what I'm gonna say? Nonsense. And now we come to this. We all know what this is. This is your hazard suit. But let's check out what happens when you go towards it. What just happened there? Did I put it on that fast? Am I the Flash? I don't know how anybody puts on a suit like that instantly. Not to mention the fact, I don't even appear to have a body. So I'm not even sure how I put that on to begin with, but we'll look past it and just for now say nonsense. Next up, we have this issue of, have you ever listened to how loud you are when you walk around and you have the suit on? Let's take a listen. I don't know about you, but that sounds like I'm heavier than the Terminator. I don't know how you could even stealth in this thing, or how nobody hears you coming from, like, you know, a long distance away. Just wanted to point out that little flaw. You know why? Because nonsense. Now we come across your first obstacle, which is to go over these. And she gives you a long rundown that you have to run and jump, but I'm just standing here. Even when I duck, this thing is very short. Do we really need an obstacle course on how to jump over something, or even just step over this? None of these are very much of an obstacle. Just saying. Nonsense. Okay, now we come a more of a apparent issue with this facility, okay? We have these scientists in here. They're moving, they could talk to you, but my concern is, how did they get in here? There's no doors. There's not even like any furniture in here. Did they just teleport in here? Are they just slaves that are stuck in this room forever just for the new training recruits? I mean, let's see what happens if I talk to one.
I can't be bothered right now.
See, they can't be bothered. Are they too scared to mention that they're enslaved in this little cube room? I don't know. This facility just gives me the creeps when you consider they're just stuck in this room forever. It's odd. You know, here we are at the next obstacle room. We're supposed to go under these 3 pipes. Now, I may not be the smartest person in the world, but you'd have to be really, really low in intelligence not to understand that when that pipe is in your way like this, you just simply go under it. This is not rocket science. Is this a training facility for babies? I don't know. It might be. And look, again, a room with no doors. These guys are definitely slaves. Maybe Zen already took over and replaced all these other scientists, or just brainwashed them being stuck in these rooms. I don't know. It's kind of creepy, like I said before. And now we're at the room where you have to jump duck into these pipes. Now, okay, as you know in this game, you go in human-sized vents. Why do we train to go in human-sized vents? Human-sized vents don't exist in real life. I mean, look behind me. See this? Back there? That is a vent in my house. I can't fit in that vent. I mean, I am a fat guy, but even if I was skinny, I could not fit in that vent to escape or anything. And then in the very next section, they bring us this pipe that we obviously have to go through, but this pipe looks even smaller than the last one. Is my head just fitting through here? Am I maybe just a magical floating head? Because I don't have a body, so maybe I am just a head. That would make way more sense on how I could fit in the vent like this. And here we are at the ladder, after I just said we have no body, and yet I'm able to walk up to it and just climb it with no arms and legs. Not sure how that works. Maybe it's the suit I'm wearing is like magnetic and sticks to it. I don't know. Just to say it's nonsense. Okay, so we made it past the long jump, and we come across this weird little like room here that's empty. Why is that space even there? Was there like a guy with water bottles maybe there that would used to give them out to you and be like, congratulations, you're halfway through the course? I don't know why that little section's there, but it's just kind of weird. Okay, so we just made it through this little part where you jump off the elevator, lose your health. But again, it's another one of those weird elevators. No cords, nothing connecting it that makes it go up and down. It's just magical. Maybe this facility employs antigrav technology, and that's how this elevator moves up and down? Might be. Okay, here we have a few issues. First one is, we see this lady in a hazmat suit. Granted, it's a hologram, but we never actually see women in the facility, do we? So, do they work somewhere else in the facility? Why do we never see them? I don't know, just kind of odd. And then we come across this first aid station. Now, I'm not sure quite how this works because there's a hole in it. So do I just like stick my finger in it and it replenishes my health? I mean, I'm sure the logical explanation is my suit plugs into it, but how does my suit heal me? If I broke my ankles from that last jump, first aid station isn't going to help me do anything. I'm just going to be like, what do I do with this? Not to mention, if you look close at the person on screen, he appears to have a severed head. I'm pretty sure this first aid station can't fix a severed head. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, now we come across this room, and first thing you notice about this room is these little alien bugs on the floor. Now, we're supposedly in a room, a facility full of scientists, right? Does nobody notice this facility is crawling with alien bugs? How did they even get in this place? Do these people actually have degrees? Because I noticed this bug. I mean, when you step on him, his blood isn't even normal. That's like alien blood. What is going on here? I'm also thinking maybe my anti-grav thing with my suit is right, or magnet, because look, I could push this, and I could pull this, again, with having no arms, no legs, no body. That's definitely gotta be something related to the suit. Okay, and now we come across a really big issue. We all know what this is. This is Gordon's crowbar. The famous crowbar everyone loves. But think about this. How many scientists do you see using crowbars? What is it used for in science? Did Einstein have a crowbar? Did Stephen Hawking have a crowbar? I don't think they did. I don't know why Gordon even needs a crowbar. And apparently everyone that goes through this course gets this crowbar. And yet none of the other scientists have one on them. This is just a weird facility. Nonsense. And of course, while I'm on the topic, here we are at the human-sized vent. Doesn't exist in real life. And it has a ladder coming out of it that's human-sized. Who actually installs human-sized vents and then also decides, I'm going to put a human ladder in there, just in case a person's in the vent and needs to get out? Nobody thinks that, because it doesn't happen. Granted, we are in a training course, so I know it's for training purposes, but you know what I'm trying to say. Okay, here we are in the area where you're supposed to use your flashlight. Well, let's turn it on. Well, first off, that's a really poor flashlight. And second of all, unless you have really bad vision, you can kind of see where you're going in this place. This is not rocket science. I don't even need my flashlight for this. Why even give me the flashlight? I can just do this normally just fine. Okay, so here we are at the targeting range. And there's a bunch of issues in this. For example, these targets magically move up and down and all around. There's no strings holding them up, no rail systems. Again, is this an anti-grav thing? I'm beginning to think everything in this facility uses some kind of anti-grav, because these targets just move magically. And then don't forget this. This, I believe, is a rat. An invincible rat. Between the alien bugs and invincible rats, there is something much deeper going on in this place than they're letting on. And now we come across your HEV charger. And to me, this station makes a lot more sense. There appears to be some kind of like gasoline hose that probably plugs into your suit and charges your suit. This is perfect. I'm not actually going to complain about this one. Unlike the medical station, which, as always, makes no sense. And now we come across this little section about radiation. Now, again, I'm not a scientist in real life. I'm not even a genius. But when I stand on this little platform, I start getting radiation poisoning, right? You can see it in the corner there. But if I stand right on the other side of this door, I'm fine. I'm pretty sure that's not how radiation works. Heck, I'm sure just standing even right here, this close to that, would probably kill me within a few minutes. I know I'm wearing a suit, but still. I don't think I'd survive this in real life, even with the suit. Now, in order to get to the next area, we have to take this elevator. And I have to say, while it's a nice looking elevator, look how huge it is. You know the budget that was probably wasted making this elevator this big? You could probably fit a whole squad of men in here. Why is it this big? I mean, again, I'm a fat guy. But maybe some of the scientists that take this course are bigger than me? Maybe that's why they need a bigger elevator? I don't know. It's nonsense. And now we run across our first security guard. Now, I want you to pay attention to how he speaks. I'll try to get as close as I can. Now we come across our first security guard. I want you to pay attention to his teeth when he talks.
Sure, I'll follow you. Okay, I'll wait here.
Did you catch that? When he talks, his teeth flex. Now, maybe I'm not normal, but when I talk, my teeth don't flex up and down. So either one of us here is not normal and the other one is. Or maybe it's the radiation in this facility, because your teeth,
Sure, I'll follow you.
they shouldn't do that. I'm sorry. Okay, here's an interesting question. So you come to this place with the security guard, and they've got pop machines here, which is pretty nice. Apparently the bottled water guy went away, so they have pop. Well, first question is, what do you do if you're hungry? I don't see a vending machine here for food. And what if you have to use the bathroom? I haven't come across any toilets. Matter of fact, I haven't seen any other doors that actually say exit. So how do I leave the training facility if I have an emergency? Or, like I said, I have to go to the bathroom. This is just poor design to make you wait all the way until the end. Okay, so here we are at a drawing board. Now, again, these guys are supposed to be scientists. Like, these are super smart people. But have you seen this drawing board? I can't read any of this. I think that's miracle, maybe? This is just all gibberish. And then you get their counting system. Look at this. 1, I think that's a 2 or a 7. That's a 3 or a 8. But let's pretend that's a 1, 2, and 3. 4, 5, 7. 4, 5, 7? Or that could be a 6, but then it'd be 4, 6, 7. Who counts like this? Are these people actually scientists? Or is this all fake? Because this, it's nonsense. Okay, so we just started the game, and this is the tram ride into the Black Mesa facility. Right away, there's a bunch of issues in this first room. We'll ignore the fact that this giant room, again, it has no doorways. How did these people get here? They must be trapped. Beyond that, why is there a giant black pit? What would the purpose of this pit be? And then you have this. I'm assuming this is some kind of, like, automated device that brings in materials, right? Crates and stuff. But then this guy, he took one and he brought it over here and just sat it here. And then it disappeared. What's going on here? How did it disappear? And why did he bring it back out after it was just brought in? And now he just sits here for 8 hours, I guess? This is very odd to me. And look at this guy over here. Where did he get his license to even run this forklift? He's like right on the edge. There's no way this guy's certified to operate this. To be fair, let's look at him up close. I don't know what his name is. Gus. Well, Gus looks a little slow.
Huh?
No offense if you're a slow person, but I don't think Gus should be operating forklifts. He's very close to dying. Unless, I should mention, maybe the whole point of this room is just to bring cargo in here, then dump it into the black void? I don't know. This is just strange. And now we come across a security guard, maybe Barney, I don't know, trying to get inside. Well, why is there no card reader for him to get inside? Why is he even out here? I mean, think about it. What is this platform for? You come out of your door to this platform just to wave at the people, maybe? Can they even hear you? 'Cause I think the tram is probably glassed in, right? This is a useless platform that makes no sense. Nonsense. And I should just add, there's something definitely going on, because have you looked at this guard? He's making the sound effect for pounding on the door. So he's choosing to make this weird sound effect every time he hits this door. Is he an alien? Maybe he's not all there? Maybe this is one of those signs when you first come to work here that maybe you shouldn't work here. This place is creepy and dangerous. And then we enter this room, which is very big, and again, a black pit, and a black ceiling? Don't know what's going on there. But you have a monorail, tram rail over here, and I'm not quite sure what that's for. And then you have this guy who got off the tram, but he's just standing here. Is he waiting for someone to let him in? If he just got off the tram, I'm assuming that means he has an ID or a badge. Does nothing scan it to let him in? Does he just stand here forever? And worse yet, these two little offices. Again, I'm not going to bring up the fact that there are no doors. Matter of fact, there's no food or water, so I don't know how these people are surviving. Leading to the fact that I think they're aliens? Look at this guy. He's typing on nothing. There's nothing here.
Do you have any idea what to do next?
No, I do not know what to do next, because this guy doesn't either. And should I, I should kind of point out too, these rooms don't even have glass. So if these scientists take one wrong step, they fall into the black void forever. Now, you know what? Looking, maybe this monorail comes up, drops them off here? I guess that could be one solution. I don't know how the monorail would get up here. Maybe it's an anti-grav thing again. Okay, so moving on, I think I wasn't wrong about the whole anti-grav thing. Check out our tram. Nothing's holding it up, and it's just floating on this rail. So definitely an anti-grav or magnetic situation going on, which definitely answers some questions about this place. So your tram then takes you into this room. Now, looking at this room, how does anybody even get inside here? I see no doorways in, just this robot doing something to this, and then what happens? How does this device ever get removed and a new one get put in? Who operates this little crane system? Is it supposed to be in here? Because this is a very short room, and I can't even see inside the windows, so I have a feeling this whole thing is just a giant facade room. Why wasn't this even built? I'm confused. Okay, so now we get into this room, and this one makes it a little bit more sense. Storing your rockets underground in your facility. Okay, makes sense. But have you seen how long this rocket is? And how long this tram cart is that holds it? There is no way it makes it around this corner without getting stuck. That's just too much of a round curvature. And it also doesn't help that the rail just seems to end right here. Again, I don't know what's going on in this facility, but nothing... It's nonsense. Total nonsense. And just to add, we have Gus again. Maybe Gus is just an alien clone? Because they're all named Gus. I mean, look at him. He doesn't even move. I get a very eerie feeling in this place. Okay, so we come over here, and the tram magically takes you down to here, but apparently it just drops you, because there's nothing attached to your tram, right? So does it just drop you and that magical anti-grav thing stops you from crashing, and then you go back on this rail? That must be the case. Now, there's also another little issue with this area. This spot of light. Why is there a spot of light here? I mean, these little lights, they have little light spots, and it actually makes sense. It's a pretty good detail, right? But what's this one for? Why is there no ray shining down on it? Is this maybe just a city of ants that have electricity somehow? They're very, super smart ants that created electricity? Could be. Maybe that's what that is, since there's no little ray shining down on it. Just a little ant city. I don't know. I'm not going to question things in this facility. Moving on. How in the world did this helicopter fit down this little ravine? I don't fly helicopters, so I don't know. But I think this would be pretty dangerous to try and land that thing in here. Again, safety seems very lax at this place. And of course, we come across G-Man on a tram on the other side of us, along with a scientist. Apparently on a tram also that is connected to nothing. So, they're not questioning it, so why should I? This giant vat of radioactive goop is just leaking all over the place. And I'm pretty sure if you're on this tram that's magically floating, I should say, you're going to be getting some major radiation poisoning since you don't have your suit right now. Matter of fact, you're probably dead by the time you get off this tram. Okay, so we come into the lobby of the Black Mesa Research Facility, and admittedly, this is a nice looking lobby when you first come here. You even got a little map on the wall letting you know where you are, Sector C. But there's some issues here. For example, the scientist and the security guard are looking at this screen, but that just looks like a blue screen of death. So what are they looking at? Is it that boring here that they're like, let's just stare at this blue screen? Then again, none of these screens really make any sense either. Some blue screens over here, turned off screens, hazy screens. I don't know what's going on. This is just strange. And then we got this guy. When you mess with his little computer and it opens up and he complains about you checking his email and he's waiting for a message. Well, Why are you using a public computer? I mean, I didn't know that. Not my problem. And here we see the G-Man, but given we just seen him on the tram, seemingly going the opposite way, how did he get here? I'm assuming he is magic because we know in the future he seems to just be anywhere at any time he wants, so maybe that's the case. However, if you listen into his conversation, as you can see, they're not actually saying anything. So maybe they're just doing the faking mime routine just to freak you out when you're standing on the other side of this window? Could be the case. Okay, so we come down the hallway and we run across this little room. Is this little hallway a scientific room? Look at all these buttons and gauges and gizmos and gadgets. What do they all mean? Look at this board. Every one of these lights means something. You have to have some kind of super advanced degree to understand any of this stuff. I don't even know how I got in. I'd be confused. I don't know what half of this means. Okay, so we come to the break room, and admittedly, this is a pretty nice break room, though I don't much care for the black and white checkered floor. But right away it poses some questions. Look how big these pieces of paper are on this board, compared to the size of a person. Are giants writing these pieces of paper and putting them here? Then, again, we have vending machines with drinks. Makes sense, you know, a break room. But this lunch, where did he get it from? There's no food vending machines here at all. Did he bring it in? Are you even allowed outside food and beverage? And where would you store it? Because I don't see any refrigerated stuff, unless you just put it in your locker. But if you've ever worked before and you have a locker, you know your food goes bad if it sits in a locker. Depending on the kind of food it is, of course. And what's the punishment for bringing your own food in? Destroying his food because he shouldn't have it in here. That's what you get, sir. Don't bring in outside food. Granted, again, there is no other place to seemingly get food here. Okay, I just want to point this out, it's kind of weird. Did you notice the name of this soda? It says Grope. What kind of place has Grope soda? Sure, it's probably meant to say grape, but that sure looks like it says Grope. Just an odd product. I mean, I'm not going to judge if you're into Grope soda. Okay, and then we come to our very own locker that says Freeman. First, I'm going to say, this is a huge locker. I'm literally able to fit probably 2 or 3 people in this. So, I don't know if it's more of a locker or just like a mini room, but let's look at what's inside. Thermos, cup, books, pretty normal. Then you have this blue thing, which I'm not sure what it's for. Maybe it's a suit, a really thin suit. Then you have your diploma, which looks to be written in some alien language. And a baby, but Gordon's single, right? How does he have a baby? I don't know. But the weirdest thing of all is Gordon, for no reason, has 2 honeycombs just sitting on his wall in his locker. I like honey as much as the next person, but why would you smash them onto your wall and just leave them there? Do these have some kind of significant value to him? I don't know. It's nonsense. And here we are again, now in the bathroom, and right away, the sink is over-flooded. It's overflowing, right? Is this facility run down? Why is this flooded? Did somebody put something down the drain they weren't supposed to? Oh, wait, that's because there is no drain. Got something underneath, but I don't see a drain there. This place is so poorly designed. I don't get it. Just like, at least in another version of this game, this guy in this stall here needs toilet paper. Is there no toilet paper in the stalls? Who is making all this stuff? These are just terrible. And not trying to snoop on these people, but just check this out. This guy is apparently typing on another one of those invisible computers. It's strange, and his toilet has no hole in it. So whatever he's about to do is going to be messy. Alongside the fact there is no handle to flush it. This is just all really weird. And apparently his twin is in the next stall. Again with the clones. Is this like a situation? And of course, there is no urinals. There's obviously space. You could even put some here. On top of this, there's only 2 stalls. You see how many lockers there are? So, 2 stalls for all these people? And that's just in this little area. I hope you don't gotta go, or don't have a stomach ache, because you're gonna be waiting a while. Okay, so I want to be a little serious here. I think there's something wrong with this poor scientist. Look at his mouth when he speaks.
My glasses again. I can't be bothered right now.
He talks like this. I'm thinking, again, I'm not a doctor, but I'm thinking he's having a stroke. That would explain talking like this. Or he's had one in the past, and it's unfortunately left part of his face paralyzed. Not that he can't work, but I just wonder if this man's gotten any proper help for his stroke.
Weren't you supposed to be in the test chamber half an hour ago?
Though he is kind of cocky, so I don't know, maybe that's karma. Okay, so they have these nice little signs that flip through here, and it's pretty cool, makes your facility a little bit more lively. But the problem is, how am I learning anything? I can't read anything underneath there. What about this one? Something, 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 safety. And it's in that weird room where nobody's able to enter. Yeah, this Black Mesa Security Force. Can't read it. What is the point? Nonsense. Okay, so we're in this little room. Don't really know what this room is called, but come across this sign. And I think it's supposed to be a hazard sign with acid dripping on the floor. But to me, it just looks like somebody with cross eyes crying. They're like, and there's little teardrops coming down. And his mouth is like, "Arr." I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing things. Or maybe it's the radiation damage in my brain from being in this facility. More evidence that this facility is falling apart. This panel just explodes when you walk in here. So, how do they know my suit actually protects me against whatever goes on in this room? Was there scientists before me that came in with lesser suits and died? Am I just the lucky person that gets the suit that magically works against whatever goes on in this room? They had to have tested this stuff before, right? Who was the one that tested it? And how do I know I'm still not getting sick from stuff, even though I already have a suit? I don't know. So here we are in the testing chamber, and I have to ask the question, how do we know my suit is actually going to protect me? I mean, were there people before that tested other versions of the suits and they died? And then this suit I have happens to be the best kind? How do we know I'm still not getting damaged from things that happen in this chamber? There's just a lot of questions that need to be asked here because I'd feel very unsafe working here, even with this suit. Okay, so I started the device, and look at this. It's actually spinning and hitting the other pieces of the whole machine. I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to happen. I'm not even sure how it's running. How have we even run tests before? And look, now these 3 things are spinning. This brings up the whole thing about me saying maybe anti-grav is like a big thing that happens here in magnets, because this machine is just confusing how it works. Between hitting itself and floating things, I don't get it. It's nonsense. Okay, so the unforeseen consequence just happened with the cascade failure, and this is going on in this room. Now, I don't care how good my suit is, I'm pretty sure all this electricity or whatever this is probably totally rewriting my DNA or doing something strange. I don't want to be here at all. Okay, so we come across this section, and you see these head crabs in here. Now, how is it this head crab is not able to jump out of this container? I mean, look at the size of those gaps. Even back here, look at that, he could just crawl right out. And yet for some reason, he just chooses to sit there. Just want to point out, this is a lot of blood for one guy. Not sure what he had in his body, but this is way too much blood. Okay, so this guy, the laser just went through him, which is really sad, but how did it manage to separate his 2 lungs and ribs when it didn't even cut through that part of his chest? And look, there's even part of his spine, which, might I add, that spine is absolutely huge. That is just strange. Again, leading to my theory that these are actually aliens. Okay, so now we're at the famous scene where the elevator falls and kills the scientist, right? But look at this elevator. They're all magically floating. Again, is this an anti-grav thing? Why are they all floating to begin with? Obviously something is going on with this elevator. So it's not my fault that they crashed when the button was pushed, because if you're just floating here, there's something else going on and you should have, you know, there's a ladder right there. Float your way over here, climb up the ladder, escape. This is just weird. Okay, so here we are at the lobby again, and you're supposed to crawl through here, but again, it's a human-sized vent. If it wasn't for that human-sized vent, right now, Gordon would be stuck. Forever. Because this leads to nowhere. This just goes back to where you came from. So, yeah, you know what I'm gonna say. Nonsense. Why isn't this scientist running? Why is he just waiting here? He obviously has plenty of time to come over here. But instead, he chooses to follow his death. That's on him, honestly. Okay, so we come across this guy in this room. And to a lot of people, I'm sure this is terrifying. Seeing this scientist struggle with this alien on his head, right? But me, I have health problems, as you know. And when I see this, the first thing that goes through my mind is, how come nobody rushed in to help this guy? That monitor is strobing, and obviously he's having a seizure. Does nobody have compassion or empathy around here? I would help him, but apparently no one else does. Get this man some medical attention. Okay, so when you come to this part, you see this scientist.
Fine, I'm going to stay here and wait for my colleagues.
You see him hiding in this trash can. You think, well, you know what? That's probably pretty smart. He's being safe. But obviously he knows something we don't. Because have you looked inside this trash?
Would you like to get one of these blood samples under...
He's standing on some kind of trap door. So maybe this is a secret, like, exit maybe? An elevator? Obviously he knows something more than he's letting on. Maybe Gordon could have escaped this whole time just through this trash can. Such a shame. Okay, I am not sure why an elevator like this would even exist. Aside from just scale and looking cool, this is another thing that they over budgeted for. It wasn't needed. Could have just had a simple down elevator. Ridiculous. Okay, so now you come into this room with the barnacles. My question is, what happens if these barnacles transported somewhere else? Like, what if they transported onto a wall? Or the floor? Would they face up? What are the odds that they all happen to just be here on the ceiling? Just saying. So now we come across this room, where you famously have to hop from all of these to get down there. But nobody asks the real question. Why is there even ladders? Why is this room even here? You climb all the way up here to do what? Just stare at cargo on these little lifts? Is that why they spent money to build this room? And furthermore, where do these even come from? This just goes in a giant square along the room, and then comes down this long rail. So does stuff come up here and then go over here and just hang as storage? Which leads to the question, why is there such a big pit? One of these snaps, it's obviously going to be destroyed when it hits the bottom. Just seems again like poor design, poor layout. Okay, so admittedly, I do like the office space in here. Ignoring this whole giant elevator thing again. But right away we have some issues. Like the black void that exists in the ceiling. Why is there so many black voids in this facility? Are these from experiments gone wrong that just create these magical black voids? So if you come over here, you'll notice that there's this security guard in this little shaft, right? But how did he get here? There is no way in or out. How did that happen? Did he teleport? I don't know. Okay, so then you come across this room. And I get it. This teaches you about electricity and water. Again, in case you're like 3 years old and didn't know that electricity and water is bad. But my question is, how did this room flood so fast? The cascade failure was what? Maybe like 15 minutes ago? Are you telling me that one faucet caused this whole room to fill up that quick? And of course, again, there's no drain hole in the sink, so that doesn't help things. So when you come here, there's all sorts of crates in the way, right? I've destroyed some of them, but why would this hallway be full of crates like this? Again, why? This is nonsense. Okay, so normally when you enter this room, this turret comes out and starts to shoot you, like this poor scientist. What poor design planning was this? So when there's a problem at the facility, turrets come out and start killing everybody? What if you're trying to escape? Again, poor design on their end. I don't get why you would do that. And here we have the periodic table of elements. Now, again, these are supposed to be scientists. But do any of these look like the actual elements? These look like weird letters and symbols. Again, giving credence to my theory, everyone here is aliens. Here we have a dead scientist. How did he die? A lamp fell on him. I don't understand this at all. The physics just don't make sense. I mean, this is a very large lamp, but he wasn't able just to push it off? Weird. So here we come across an interesting thing. A vending machine for snacks. I mean, it doesn't work, but if it did, is this where the scientists and security have to go? All the way up the stairs and all the way up the elevator? Or in this case, down. Just to get snacks from here? Why aren't there any of these in the break room? Seems like a long way to go just for snacks. And because it doesn't work, that just makes it much worse. So now we come across what appears to be a lunchroom. I don't know why this lunchroom is so barren. There's nowhere to really sit, except for these 3 little tables. What kind of lunchroom is this? That it's so empty. Weird. Okay, now we have appears to be a coffee machine, and I want to say this is maybe like a latte machine, or maybe ice cream, because it kind of looks like an ice cream handle. But right away I notice, where are the cups for your coffee? Where are your cones and bowls for ice cream? Do people that come here just have to, they're like, oh, warm coffee, poured in my hands, and then they take it with them to where they're going? Or do you have to come here, get your coffee, and just drink it here, probably before it scalds your hands, then go back to work? I don't know who put these here without all this stuff. They should definitely be fired because this is just dumb. I'm also not sure why this hallway goes from a lunchroom to coffee machines right into a refrigerated room. Or a freezer kind of room, right? Seems like a weird place to put it. Okay, so you come to these bodies in the fridge, and I right away have to wonder, whose spine is that? That does not line up with these guys. Like I said earlier, possibly giants. Giant aliens? Don't know whose spine that is. That is just odd. Also, why is there meat hanging here? For what purpose? I don't see any chefs in the facility. And apparently there's only snack machines. So why is this meat here? Maybe just to hit with your crowbar for fun? For scientists who have crowbars and are bored? I mean, it could be. Still, nonsense. So here you come across G-Man by this door. But have you ever gone in to look at G-Man? What he's doing? Look, he's just standing here. I have had that reaction though when I have to really go to the bathroom and I don't want to move because it makes the urge to go worse. I'm guessing that's what's going on here. I mean, I'm not going to judge him. When you gotta go, you gotta go. Sometimes you just freeze up. Okay, so we come across this part, and there are sensors up that when you trigger them, it activates these turrets. But why would these need to be activated and triggered? As a matter of fact, who even put these turrets here? Again, this is just poor design, and it seems like it's gonna just kill all your scientists for no reason. Again, I get it's a lockdown, but still. Nonsense. Well, further on, you come to this area where you take this tram to this spot, and it just stops here, and you go flying out. But my question is, why was this tram even built? And 3 tram tracks on top of that. They all dead end here. So is the plan for you to take the tram here, get up, shimmy along this edge, go over here, crawl under these pipes, get out, then you have to go down here and crawl under these, all just to get to this ladder? That would eventually get you to this pipe, right? This layout is really confusing. So why not just have a walkway that just walks with you all the way over here? What is the point of these trams being here? As a matter of fact, why is the radiation even leaking here? This place is indeed a hazard. And of course, is nonsense. Okay, so eventually you leave that pipe and you come to this room where you are supposed to climb down the ladder, then realize you can't do anything. So you have to climb all the way across these pipes to get to this ledge. What a weird layout just to get over here. Which leads you to this gigantic room full of radiation. I'm pretty sure with the HEV suit, you're probably still getting radiated anyways. Do you see how much radioactive goop there is in here? This is bonkers. How does anybody even survive here? And again, you come across another silo full of radiation with only a little bit of guard railing. Not much guard railing at all in this place. I'm really curious about some things. First of all, what is the death rate at Black Mesa with all these more safety features? And secondary, what is the radiation rate? What is the cancer rate from all the radiation? I imagine most workers end up with cancer at some point, right? Cannot have this much radiation around and not get sick. Show me those stats. Show me those numbers, Black Mesa. Okay, so now we are at Blast Pit, a pretty fun part that everyone remembers. But I have to ask, first off, why are they coming out of a black void? And what are the odds that this cascade event caused them to spawn right here in the middle of this perfectly tall room for them to start bashing on people? Pretty crazy odds, if I do say so myself. And here we are in yet another silo full of radiation again. And this time, you take these small little tiny elevators to go around the room. Then you're forced to climb up, again with no safety rails on either side. With platforms with no safety rails, this whole place is one giant death trap. I seriously don't understand the design, layout, or logic of this. This is just horrible. I do not want to work here. So after traversing many ladders and rooms, you come to this machine. Now, this I understand. Fuel on, right? And then Oxyon. But my question is, why are they pumping Oxycontin through the facility? It appears to be through the water. So, are they pumping Oxycontin into everyone's drinks? Trying to get people addicted to opioids? It just seems like, I don't know, maybe this is a government research on all the scientists instead? See the side effects of Oxycontin in people's water, maybe? I don't know. Might explain some things. I'm also not sure why you label it Oxy, because it makes it kind of obvious. That's just me, though. Okay, so now we come across this big room. This is a giant, like, turbine. Probably for, like, air conditioning, right? Well, my first question is, again, why is there no railing anywhere? But secondly, why do you have these long ladders for people to climb? I'm assuming it's so an engineer could work on the fan if it has an issue, right? But if the fan's on, how does he climb down this without getting chopped into pieces? You'd have to have this off, right? So, is there another button to turn this off to get down here? And what if you're down here and it accidentally turns on and this switch no longer works? Do you radio in somebody and say, hey guys, I'm stuck below the fan, kinda need some help, can't go anywhere, or are you just screwed? I also kinda wonder if the fan would just suck you up into the blades and you die. Again, bad design. Nonsense. Next up, you come to this room, but instead of a complaint, I actually want to show you something kind of cool. If you see these barrels, they come down here, they go all the way down this river, then they fall down this waterfall. But what you don't see is then they come over here, they go back sucked up into this tube, and eventually it leads back out here to where it started. So, kind of cool thing that it loops around. They really didn't have to do that, but let's go back to picking on it and asking why is there this much radiation again? Especially right here, with no railings. Again, you're going to be dead in a matter of minutes just standing here. And then, of course, they have a ladder here because somebody apparently would want to climb down into the radiation. I don't know. It's, you know, nonsense.